Hey, this is Darren from Property Prosperity. Today I thought I'd have a bit of a chat to you about a conversation that I had with a lady today, and I thought I would try to hope maybe she's watching. Hopefully she's watching. Maybe she's not, but I thought I'd try and explain to her, and I thought I'd explain to you why it's important that you have a bit of a plan rather than just looking at buying a property or looking at developing a property or whatever. You got to know why you're doing it. And so this lady I was talking to today, she rang me up basically and said, hey, you're a real estate agent, can you send me through some properties? I want a property, I want to do a subdivision, and I want to make lots of money. So, and I can understand how that seems like it would be a plan, but in reality, she's saying that, I started asking her lots of questions. So I started asking her questions about her personal situation and what she was hoping to achieve, what was her financial situation, how much money did she have saved up, did she have a job? Did she have income coming in? A whole pile of different things. And I tried to explain to her why it was really important that we understood where she's at right now. So then we can have a plan for, okay, we know where we're at right now, then let's try and work out where you want to get to. And so once we know where she's at right now and where she wants to get to, then we can start to step out what steps we need to do to get to where she needs to get to. And I suppose she was focused on doing a development or buying a property because she'd obviously seen other people done a development for it and made the assumption that people make money out of doing developments, which people do make money out of doing developments. But I've seen a lot of people that, to be honest, majority of people that do subdivisions, smaller scale subdivisions, are what I describe as sort of more your mum and dad developers that are just starting out, just giving it a go. Quite often they don't make much money. And so that's why I was concerned for this lady. I'm saying, hey, rather than just focusing on doing a development just for the sake of doing a development, why don't we focus on doing a development to try and get to you, where you want to go, really. So, if that's to retire or if that's to work less hours or to have more money for travel or work, whatever you're trying to do it for, focus on that first. Work out what you're trying to achieve and then work your way back. And then likewise too, why it's important to know what your starting point is or what funds you've got available or what your financial capacity or your borrowing capacity is, because then you know what sort of deals to look for. So this lady's suggesting just send her through some deals and she don't worry about the finances. But the reason why it's important is because with development or when you're doing a subdivision, you only make money at the end. You don't make money halfway through. So you've got to make sure that you can last till the end. And if you run out of cash halfway through or get stuck halfway through, then generally you get in stress, financial stress, where you have to get out of it really quickly, which means you end up having to sell it to anyone that's willing to buy it. And generally, your average person's not going to buy it off you if it's half finished, a half-built house or whatever. So you're going to find it's going to be someone like me, a developer, that's going to come in and they know you're in trouble then because they're experienced enough to see when you're in trouble, and they're going to want to buy it off you at a bargain basement price. So quite often, you're going to be worse off than if you had done nothing at all. So, and you see it so often that, properties just need to sell in a hurry because people are desperate. And it's a good opportunity for developers to try and take advantage of that. But for the person that's trying to give it a go and go out there and be a developer, then that's their first opportunity to get out there, and they've probably saved, sometimes they've saved their whole life to be able to do this development, and then suddenly it's all gone a bit wrong, and then they've ended up burning all of their life savings just on their first development. And the problem is it might not ever go back and have a chance to learn from that and have a chance to try again, I suppose. So yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to point out to guys is, have a think about it, understand why you're developing rather than just doing it because everyone else is doing it, and understand, even once you say, okay, I'm doing it because I want to make lots of money, or how much money do I, be really clear with what you're trying to achieve and work out what sort of time horizon you need to achieve that sort of goals, and then work your way back. Okay, if I need to make, if I need to make $1 million when I need to retire, how long have I got until that? Is it 10 years or is it 20 years or is it 30 years? And then you can start to work, okay, well, if I need $1 million in 10 years, that means I need to make $100,000 each year. Okay, well, how am I going to do that? I need to make sure that every development I do, if I'm going to do one per year, it's going to make $100,000, or if I'm going to make $50,000 per development, then it's going to be, two per year. Or if I make $200,000 to a development, I do one every 2 years. So you sort of you really got to be thinking about, okay, what do I need to achieve my goals? And then likewise, sometimes the more profit you make, the more risk that can be associated with it as well. So you got to be thinking about, okay, where am I at in the stage of my life? Am I willing to take the risks that need to be taken to make the sort of profits that I'm hoping to make? If I'm trying to make $1 million in a year, then you're going to have to take some pretty serious risks. And likewise too, when you're starting out, with lack of experience or lack of knowledge, something for you is going to be a lot more risky than it would be for me. If I've done lots of developments, helped heaps of clients do heaps of development, dealt with heaps of different scenarios and issues and stuff. So, now I can walk out into a site and have a really good idea of, the good things and the bad things and the things that are likely to go wrong. Whereas if someone new that's starting out, they haven't had, the opportunity to make those mistakes and learn from trial and error. So, everything is new. So everything's the danger of, you might make a mistake. And the problem with development is, you don't even have to make a mistake. All it can be is you've just taken too long for the development to happen. And the problem is time can be really expensive, and because you've got things called holding costs, basically interest on the land or on the development, on the build, all that sort of stuff, and it just builds on itself. And what happens over time, if you've got a funds of savings, but suddenly the development drags out over time, you slowly run out of money to be able to pay the holding cost, or the cost to be able to hang on to wait till you get to the end of the development. And so if you run out of cash halfway through, it might not be because you didn't have the cash for the development. It's because you ran out of time, because you couldn't afford to keep paying the interest while the development was happening. And that's when people get desperate, and that's when they have to sell in a hurry, and that's when they get themselves in a bit of trouble. So yeah. So if you feel free to give me a call. But I suppose my advice to you is, don't necessarily suggest that I just send you through properties to develop, because I care about you, to be honest. I don't want you to lose money. I don't want you getting into financial strife, because I know the effect that can have on people, and it can affect you, not only financially but emotionally, and your family and relationships and a whole pile of different. Yeah, it can affect a whole pile of different things. So because I care about you, I'm not just going to send you through anything. Basically, at the end of the day, I'd rather sit down and make sure we're finding something that's going to be profitable. So, and bearing in mind, if it's the property that I'm selling, then understanding if I'm selling a property on behalf of an owner, a vendor, then I'm acting on their behalf. So my job is to sell it for the highest possible price, which means if you're coming to me that I'm selling a property and I'm selling it to you, understand that I'm going to be trying to get you to pay the highest possible amount. So, because that's my job as a real estate agent, to look after the vendor and not look after the buyer. So, so if you're talking to real estate agents and they're offering to sell you properties, then understand their job is to look after the vendor and sell it for the highest possible price. If they're not doing that, then they're basically being unethical, and they're not doing what they should be doing by the vendor. So again, that might be a good thing for you as the buyer, to be able to buy from them and get a bargain basement price, and obviously it works out good for the agent because they don't really care and they just move on to the next one. It's not good for the vendor. The agent's not likely to be around for too long. And possibly, I'd probably suggest, if you find an agent like that, it is willing to sell you something without marketing the property or trying too hard, then that's great. I'd definitely buy it off them, but I wouldn't necessarily sell through them, because they're not necessarily acting in the owner's best interest. So hopefully that's made sense, guys, and thanks for the like. I appreciate that. And if anyone's liked what I had to say, then click on the like button. If you haven't liked it, then still click on the like button, because I really appreciate it. And if you know someone out there that's thinking about getting into developments and they're saying, hey, I just want to find a development site, perhaps if you click on the share button, hopefully they understand the logic behind getting into development a little bit more. And if you've got something you'd like me to talk about in a future episode, then click on the comment box, and I'm happy to talk about whatever you want me to talk about. So thanks, guys. Nice talking to you, and I'll talk to you again next time. Thanks.